Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite bits of functionality within Power BI. A lot of people might say, oh, that bit of functionality, it's been around a while. I knew about that. What's the big deal? Well, for me, it was a big deal when I came across it. You see, as soon as I learned that I could do this right within the Power BI application when I was creating reports and transforming data, it blew my mind. And I started immediately thinking about all kinds of scenarios, ways in which I could use it to present data in new ways. So that bit of functionality that I'm going to speak about is known as grouping and binning. All right, so grouping and binning, why do I love it? Well, a lot of reasons, but let me summarize here. So I don't enjoy coding or using DAX, so anytime I can get what I want from the data and present the data in Power BI without having to resort to looking up DAX functions, I'm all over it. So grouping and binning is something that's available that allows me as a report developer to create buckets or categorize attributes and dimensions in the data set into smaller groups. This is going to allow me to do things like present large amounts of data by means of creating, a smaller bucket or an aggregated bucket on values or different fields. And it's all done through a wizard. So I'm dragging and dropping now and clicking and, it's a perfect world. I love wizards. Not like Dumbledore or Gandalf. Those guys are cool, but I'm talking about the nice, easy setup wizards. So a scenario that came up for me, and I'm just talking about grouping now. Grouping and binning are slightly different things, but use the same underlying concept to get them done. When I'm talking about grouping, it's something that you apply to dimensions. So let's say I have a sales table. I'm pretty in tune with the sales data in our source system over here in my role. So I've got a sales user table, and this represents all the sellers in the organization that can sell everything that we offer. As an example, let's just say there's 30 different individuals carrying a bag that have a number. So in that table of 30 sales individuals, I've also got a bunch of other users as well who don't operate in sales roles. But I'd like to present a revenue report, a bookings report, broken down by rep. So I go to town, I do that, I present it to my leadership. They kind of like it, but they say, hey, what would be great? I'd like to see this, but I want to see it by region, or I want to see it by team. Can we get that? And that's pretty common when you deliver, reports and dashboards. You got a feedback cycle, so okay. So I go back to the drawing board. I look at my user table of salespeople, and I get an understanding as to what sales team these 30 different sales folks are on. And I can click a button right on the dimension, the column, go down to create new group, and boom, the wizard pops up. I can drag and highlight any number or any subset of those sales users. Let's say there's 4 of them that make up the New England region. And I can write in, create a new group, call it New England, and then immediately drag those 4 individuals right over to that group. Nice and easy. I'd do the same for, the other regions that we have to report off of, like maybe Central and West. So I'd have all of them in there. Now, what about those other folks in my user table that may not be on any sales team at all, but they're in the table? Well, through the wizard, I can just click create other group and have all those folks put into another group. What's happening behind the scene is when you use the group wizard and the bin wizard is a columns being added to your data set. So now I can go back, present, maybe a table that has those regions, which rolls up all the sales for the individuals I selected, and boom, everything is good. So that's one scenario on using the grouping functionality. Now binning, similar concept, but in binning, we're talking about applying buckets on the attributes, so numeric values or dates. And what this is going to allow me to do is create those buckets off of, dollar ranges, or maybe let's take an example where The company wants to see sales and how they relate to different marketing campaigns. So with that example, I can look at my sales table along with the dates in which those number of sales closed, and apply a bucket that says week after marketing promotion. So I'm looking to see the impact of sales for the week immediately after different marketing promotions. Let's say we have 4 giant promotions a year. So I'm going to take those weeks, I got the dates from the marketing department, and I'm going to create a bin the same way through a wizard, and I'm going to put those weeks that are immediately after those marketing campaigns were launched. This way, I now have one value that I can present in a visual that says, weeks following promotion, here's the dollar value. Non-promotion weeks, here's everything else. Just an example there. Another scenario, maybe I'm looking at the actual sale value. I may have an assumption, or other people have questioned how much the size of a sale could impact deal life cycle, how long it takes to close a deal. It's fair to assume that smaller dollar sales might be quicker and take less time from start to finish in order to close, while larger sales take a longer time. Well, I can go and create buckets off a range of values, let's say from $1 all the way up to $1,000, then $1,000 to $5,000, and then $5,000 to $10,000. I got those 3 buckets. I can show and present in a visualization those 3 bucket ranges and show how long, on average, deals within those 3 buckets take to close. And then we can take it from there and make some decisions. For those reasons and those scenarios, that's why I absolutely love grouping and binning, and changed my world, and hopefully it can change yours too. Thanks for joining this installment of Azure Every Day.